Welcome to Know Better, Do Better, presented by RX Physical Therapy, where we talk to local healthcare and fitness professionals about all things injury, recovery, health, fitness, and training. Today we've got Joe Sullivan on here. He is a coach, performance coach. He works with a ton of awesome athletes and makes them even better. So Joe, thank you for coming on today, man.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, how's your day been going so far? You get a good training session in or what?
Yeah, to say the least. I early class at 6 a.m. down in Red Bank, and then I taught a few classes, and then eating, and then here we are.
Yeah. So you coach at a couple of different places. So Red Bank up in Garwood.
Yes, and Westfield, and then also right up here in Verona.
Oh man, you're all over the place.
Literally everywhere.
Yeah, that truck really is getting some miles on it, huh?
Yeah, I just love the Parkway. It's my second home.
Yeah, I'm sure they love you too with all the tolls.
Yes.
How'd you end up getting into it? You're at Alpha Fit Club, the garage gym,
Yes.
right? Garage gym moving now, which is kind of cool this weekend, I believe.
Yes, today, actually, fun fact, tonight is the open house that we have. We're going to christen the thing tonight, and then tomorrow we're going to open it up with a Murph. So tomorrow will be fun.
Oh, that's really cool. Are you guys going to get a workout in tonight out there as like a christening, or is it just like a food and
No,
food?
I think just food and beers.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's just as good.
Exactly. But to answer your actual question, very roundabout way got me to where I'm at now, right? Like, I could start from way back in the beginning when I was in high school, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna skip right on through. So, out of grad school, got a job, strength and conditioning, with Gen Pop, and that's pretty much what led me to where I am now. Because the entire time I thought I was gonna work with athletes, right? Like, you go to exercise science, you go for athletic training, all things are with athletes, and then you realize how awesome athletes are as general population and endurance athletes. Like, those people, your everyday people, are just as much of an athlete as someone who's playing on a football field. The more you actually get to know them and learn. So then that led me to standing on a stage at one point in Philly doing boutique fitness because I didn't have any other job. Left Erie after that internship and a job, just left because I needed to get home, and then kind of got stuck in Philly with the whole pandemic. Mm-hmm. And then again, I needed to come home, and there was no way around it. So I was like, all right, I'm moving home, starting over, seeing how it goes.
Just figure it out.
Yeah, and then I started at the garage. Mr. Sam Tooley owns the garage. He also owns all of the Alpha Fit clubs. So once him and I got to know each other and he knew about my background, I gave him my resume, and then from there he's like, we have openings at the Fit Club to hop on a mic and run boutique fitness classes there. And it was like, all right, time to rock and roll. And then here I am now, literally a year later. I think June 4th is actually one whole year I've been coaching at the Fit Clubs and at the garage, which is pretty rad.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I've never been in one of your fitness classes, but I've seen a lot of the videos where you got the headset on and you're crawling all over. You look like an MTV Music Awards, who is it, Rage Against the Machine or Metallica, climbing on the stage and doing all the fun stuff. So you bring a whole ton of energy to your classes.
I try to just tell myself I'm the ultimate hype man and keep going, and that's really all it is, because It's fun. That's really what it is, and people are working, and the more I have fun, the more they have fun. And if that's the only hour a day they actually get to exercise, I got to make it worth it,
Yeah, exactly. I was going to ask if you're having as much fun in the class as you look like you're having as you're jumping around.
Oh, I seriously am, especially now that the majority of my work is with clients and at the garage, and I'm only at the Fit Club for so many hours a week. It's fun. I don't even look at it as work. You know what I mean? They're paying me to push people and yell at people, but I'm just having a ball. They're paying me for fun,
Yeah. What's your favorite part about those types of group fitness classes while you're coaching?
I mean, I know that almost everybody in this profession will say this answer, but the people, you're gonna meet and unlock something in people that they didn't even know that they ever had, mm-hmm. right? And it might not seem that way at first. You see someone for the first time, and then 3 months from now, they let you one little thing they'll tell you, and you're like, holy shit, right? It's almost like tearing at the eyes just by that one comment they made from the past 3 months. You're and you never expected it from that person. So that's being able to impact them in a way you never anticipated is probably the best way I can describe my favorite part about that class.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, the connections that you can make with people, and the community that you end up creating, being a part of, surrounding yourself with. It's pretty special when you're in it. And I feel a lot of times people from the outside looking in don't quite understand it. Downstairs in the CrossFit gym, I kind of feel the same way, but it's really funny that people will look at it from the outside and kind of like poo-poo CrossFit.
Yep.
But like it's really just a room full of like-minded people who are trying to better themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and whatever. And they kind of join together and create this community of support for one another. So it's pretty neat to be a part of.
Right, and that's the beauty of the group, right? Just all group fitness class, no matter what you label it, right? Like it's that community and that bonding and being friends with someone you would have never anticipated being friends with or having that connection with. Mm-hmm. That's the entire point of group training, and that's just, you can't match that anywhere else. You can't even like buy that. People just find it each other's.
Yeah, you really can't.
Yeah.
And there's no way to like quantify it either. It just happens.
Yes, exactly.
Which raises a good point though. Alpha being like a group fitness, what you do at the garage gym is more one-on-one. Like how do you get yourself into a different headspace for like doing one versus the other? And like who do you like to work with? Like who do you end up like vibing with the most in like the group setting versus the one-on-one setting?
They complement each other so well. Like I've actually been thinking about this question because you're not the only one who's ever asked me this. It's like, so when it comes to like personal training, I can get very nerdy and I can really hone in on my skills and I can be very, I can keep myself sharp, right? Keep myself on my toes, because you can't take all of that granular detail and programming and specific modifications to a group class. Like there's no way you can do it when you have 24 or 48 people in a room. You got to make sure that the energy level is high. But that also is flipped on the other side. You have to make sure that people, those 48 potential people in that class, you can keep 80% of the way safe, right? Like you can keep them safe and give them the modification which they need. But then the energy and the, I guess like the hypervigilance, what's the word I'm looking for? Hyper awareness that you can get from a class can keep you sharp with a one-on-one client, right? Like you might see one exercise done 4 different ways in the Fit Club. And then when you get to a person or in a group class in general, and then when you get to a one-on-one client, you're going to know how to handle that because you've seen so many other reps with other people. So it keeps you sharp in both aspects, and it keeps the energy high when you have a one-on-one client because it keeps them wanting to come back, right? You're not like the boring, quiet, awkward person because you have to be so social in a group setting. You have to bring that to a one-on-one setting because it can't just be dry. Mm-hmm. So they really just complement each other great in other ways. So there's no which one I like better than the other, because I like being a nerd, but I also like being social. So right. It's a win-win. Yeah,
I feel like the fitness industry, healthcare, and kind of like the gray area in between is kind of like honed that really well. Yeah. Like kind of nerdy, kind of cool, and like everything in between. We're like. As a physical therapist, I feel like the cool doctor, like because I'm downstairs working out with a lot of people that I end up working with, slinging barbells and kettlebells and being able to talk to them about that. And, it seems like being the coach on the other end, you get to do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, and you see both too. Like you're able to, especially if you have a client upstairs, like what they're capable of when you have them downstairs, mm-hmm. right? So you're able to like just give them that look and that nod, and it's like, hey, like you can do this. Let's fucking go, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you said something before actually that really resonated with me. If you see somebody do the same exercise 4 different ways, right, and you want to keep them like 80% safe, it's good to hear that because you're never going to make somebody perfect in a group setting. All you have to do is make sure that they're safe and give them enough room for error within their movement to like understand it, learn it, and improve upon it.
Exactly.
And when you're the coach of a group and then going into the one-on-one, when you're in the group, you learn how to give like really quick, effective cues because you got to hit it, get to the next person. Hit it, get to the next person. And that efficiency, like, do you find helps improve the way that you can roll through a one-on-one session?
Tremendously, because not everybody's going to accept the same cue, right? So even before class, you do a demo, you take them through it. Like, you might give them one set of cues, and then obviously when they get there, they might not understand that cue. They might not know how to feel it. So then you might have to go there and give them another one, right? So it just consistently gives you like a Rolodex of cues for a hip hinge, right? Or a squat pattern. Like, how are you going to be able to explain that to someone else? And then on the flip side, there's a way to be able to hit all of the people in that group with one cue, right? Like if you see more than one person like doing it incorrectly, and you have to like, you can't just get to one person because there's so much going on, but you have to correct both of them at the same time. Mm-hmm. You can kind of raffle through, or whatever you want to call it, the right cue for both of those people at the same time. And again, that's just a nice challenge, because then again, you can take that into that one-on-one setting, and no matter what type of learner that person is, visual, audible, whatever it may be, you're going to be able to have plenty of references for that person instead of just like stabbing in the dark.
It makes sense. So you coach in a lot of different capacities, right? So you do the higher intensity fitness classes at Alpha. You have like more traditional strength and conditioning type structure at the garage gym, and I've also taken your Kinstretch class, which, for anybody listening, if you haven't taken one, please go check Joe out at CrossFit TreeHouse for his Kinstretch class, because it is awesome.
Thank you for the shameless plug.
Yeah, whatever. But since you're in so many different realms of fitness, like, is there any one thing that you could say is your passion, or that you're like passionate about within the industry, or like otherwise?
Oh, that's a good way I never thought about it that way. Because they're polar opposite spectrums. They are one of like calming people down or like ramping people up. I don't know. I just like people being efficient, if that even makes sense. Like, I like people doing stuff the right way, and I like the light bulb moment. Like, I love the moment that it finally clicks, whether it's in a Kinstretch class, whether it's in an Alpha Fit Club class, whether it's with a client. Like, I love light bulb moments. I don't know if that totally answers your question, but like, that's what I love and resonate with the most, I guess. Whenever that can trigger, and no matter what setting, that to me is the best. Yeah,
I feel like that kind of comes back around to something we were talking about before, right? Why do we do this in the first place, right? We just want to help people be better, right? So when they have that light bulb moment, it's like total validation of like everything that you had been trying to get them to do, right? All of a sudden they're like, oh, this is how I use my hips for a kettlebell swing? And like it just clicks, or like any other example you want to give for something like that,
right? Like, especially for you too. Like, take me for an example. Like, I came because I have hip things, and I know that it's not totally a hip thing, and what that is, I don't really know. And then here you are working on my T-spine, right, to be able to help alleviate hip things. Right?
Yeah,
like, it's those types of moments are seen across all spectrums, PTs, OTs, like all of that, and that's exactly like you said. Like, that's what we're in that gray area for.
Absolutely.
Like, all those moments that you can see is awesome, and then for those who don't see that, you got to find it.
Yeah. So, for me, I feel like one of my biggest passions, just like put in a word, is movement, right?
Yeah.
And you and I have been able to have a lot of different conversations about movement in general, and I feel like that's where that nerdiness really comes into play. This is gonna be like a ridiculous question, and I didn't prepare you for this, but I'm curious. Like, do you have a favorite part of the body to like address?
Oh, I mean, and it sounds silly, but I would probably say the hips, like coming from the dude with the hip issues, right? Like hips, because if you can fix, or if you can at least target the hips, there's so much that can come out of that. Like not even just the ball and socket, but like the pelvis in general. If you can fix that connection, and you can fix the low back issue, the ribs will just sit on top better, and then address any shoulder issues. It's kind of like the big link in my eyes. Like, if you can make hips better, you can make movement better, you can make walking better, you can make breathing better, like all things after that. So however you want to classify hips, I guess would be the best answer.
Yeah, I'd probably just like call them hips. No, I like that. Yeah. Like, they're the big power center. You got those big glutes, you got those big hamstrings, so I appreciate that. And a lot of what you do is, power generation. So you also are an athlete, right? You compete in the DECA competitions, and you run all the time. So it makes sense, right? Do you have some competitions coming up?
Yeah, I actually have one June 12th. This will be the first one. It's called the Tribe Fitness Challenge. It's kind of an in-between. It's kind of longer in stations than the DECA Fit competition, so there are longer distances and more reps when you get to the zone of exercises. Okay. But it's shorter runs, so instead of like a 5K, I think it's only like 2 miles. So it's so it's almost like a sprint. Like, it's gonna hurt. Yeah, you really don't get to use the runs as a recovery at all, because you just get to you got to get into it, go for it, go hard for a while, and then get to the next. Yeah, and then after that, I think I have like a few 5Ks, a few 5-milers lined up, and then a DECA Fit in Chicago in July. Then there's going to be another one in the fall. I think there's something in September. I don't know. I just know that I signed up for a bunch of them all at once and just blew a bunch of money at once, because why not?
Hey, you know what? You only live once.
Exactly.
Do you feel like competing in those kinds of competitions like helps you relate to the people that you're training as well? Like, you're not just someone barking exercises, like you're about that life. Like you walk the walk, you talk the talk, and everything in between.
But yeah, especially coming from like the world of, I guess, formal athletics, right? Playing lacrosse my whole life, and then having that void, like what is that going to look like for a lot of people? And some people, like, we get them at the Alpha Fit Clubs, and then we dubbed it the Alpha Fit Club Games, to where we have like our own internal small competition kind of thing. And we just try to get people out of their comfort zone and do that, right? And by me doing stuff outside of the Fit Club, it can help me relate to those people who come and compete for the first time, because some people were never athletes. Some people don't know what that feels like. Some people don't know that uncomfortable feeling. So for me to be able to say, like, hey, I can do all these things, I'm going to help you do this, like this one little thing, and I'm going to help you get through class, or I'm going to get through this week, or whatever that goal is. So it definitely makes it more relatable when they can see me like die, right? Because they all come and watch, and they just see me completely go white in the face and pass out. So,
but you finished.
Yes, exactly.
That mental, that mindset, that thing that like helps you cross that finish line. You can like share that idea with somebody, and share that pain with somebody too.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, some people just find that on a class on a Tuesday, right? Depending on the person, especially no matter where their fitness level is. Some people come in tired. Some people are first day. Some people it's their 300th class. Like, no matter who it is, they're going to find that feeling at some point. How can I get them to find that feeling is the fun part.
Yeah, how can you get them there faster?
Yes. All about the efficiency.
Yeah. So you and I have spoken a lot about novelty in training. And how like the basics are important, but how would you say that what you do is unique? Like how you coach is unique, not necessarily novel, right? Because I know that you're not somebody who's chasing novelty or like chasing the sexy Instagram exercises, but what would you say is unique about somebody's experience working with Joe Sullivan?
I would probably pull it back to like the Kinstretch you were talking about, or just the mobility practices in general, and how I can be able to, or at least I think I blend them kind of well when it comes to strength and mobility in the same session, to be able to be, again, more efficient when it comes to everything else. Because it's not just, hey, we're coming in, we're hitting arms today, we're hitting legs today. Like, I don't even label any of my workouts that way. All of my clients will get a full body workout every single time they come. No matter how many, even if it's 4 days a week, like, we're going to hit everything. We're going to focus on the core and the hip relationship. We're going to focus on the gait pattern, which is walking. And then we're, depends on who's listening.
It has nothing to do with fences.
Yes. And then being able to tie in, like, getting you hopefully out of some aches and pains, and like moving better through blending that mobility and that strength training.
I love that, man. That's really what every training should be. It should always be total body. It should always have a focus on efficiency and mobility and control.
Yeah.
And ultimately getting stronger. There are very few problems that strength can't fix.
Exactly.
But if you're in pain trying to get strong, that's never a good place to be.
It's never bueno.
Yeah. So last question I got for you. What is something that you wish everybody knew about, what it is that you do, or about the profession in general?
Oh, that one's a big one. About the profession in general, I'll hit that one first. Don't believe the people who sound incredibly salesy, right? So this is part of, I guess, my sales pitch when I'm working with a new client. I simply explain to them that I am a customer service representative, and I'm their personal customer service representative. You have an issue, you have a problem, you have something. I'm here to help you fix that. I'm here to guide you to the solution. I'm not here to sell you for me to make a profit. That's not what I'm about. If you want to work with me, awesome. If you don't, whatever, right? Like, we're probably not a good fit anyway. So that's probably the first thing I would say about the profession. There's a lot of people out there who claim to have answers, claim they're experts, claim they have all this background, claim that they know better than X, Y, and Z across the gym or at a different gym. But reading through those is the hardest part for a lot of people, because unfortunately those are the loudest voices, the most common, the people who have the algorithm down or whatever it may be. So filtering through the weeds is probably the best thing I would say to avoid, or about the profession. Like, find the quality, find the diamond in the rough. It's going to be hard because there's a lot of rough, but find that. And then maybe that's what separates me a little bit different than others, because I don't try to be salesy and I don't try to push that. There's, and just because we're on the tail, or I brought up the internet, like, people on Instagram don't even know that I do personal training. Like, some people at the Fit Club where I'm at almost every other day don't even know I do personal training, because I don't really talk about it too much. I just do it. Maybe that means I'm a bad salesman, but that's kind of how I look at it. Problem solver.
I feel like it's really just you respecting your roles. When you're ahead, like in the front of the group class, like, your role is to teach the group and be there for the group.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily to sell your personal training services. So I think that's like a huge respectful thing, that you're not trying to push one thing while you're supposed to be doing the other. But you said something before that really piqued my interest, trying to find the diamond in the rough, or, really kind of doing your homework and research to find out, like, who the right fit is for you and your fitness goals, right? What are some questions that you might tell somebody who's shopping around for a personal trainer or a coach or a gym or something like that to weed through some of the bullshit?
Yeah. First off, are you going to do an assessment? That's step one, right?
That's huge.
Or are you just going to be put on a 12-week program that everybody and their mother's doing, right? Like, because if it's not, I don't want to say it has to be individualized, right? Like, but it has to be somewhat catered or scaled to you, right? Like, I'm not going to have you do an overhead squat if you've never touched a barbell. Right? Like, why would that be anywhere in there? So that's one thing. Another good question to ask is, like, who is the clientele in which you work with the most? Like, am I part of your demographic, right? Because there's people who work with geriatrics. There's people who work with youth athletes, right? They could potentially work with both, but which one do they work with more? Where does their experience lie? And then what interests them? Like, what kind of workouts does that person do, right? Like, am I going to a CrossFit coach for bodybuilding advice? Probably not the best person to ask, right? So, like, what is their skill set and what do they enjoy? Because that's where they're going to program more. I mean, even you and I are somewhat biased to the exercise in which we choose, just because of our experience and the fact that we like it and we like to coach it. So no one's excused from that. So you just have to find someone who's going to have the right balance of exercises for you and exercises that they also enjoy.
I love that. I would add one more thing to it. I think as the consumer, you have to have an idea of what your goals are before you start shopping around.
Oh, for
but
sure.
Make sure that you find somebody who asks you what those goals are.
Oh, tremendously. Yes. That almost so obvious. I'm mad I missed it, but yes.
Hey, you hit so many really important parts, and I hope whoever's listening to this really goes back, rewinds it, listens to it again, and if they're trying to shop around, just have those questions in the back of their head, understand what their goals are, and understand that different people can help you reach different types of goals, but you can't fit a round peg in a square hole.
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought up the goals part, because that's also, even if you know your goals, you might not know your goals, right? So, like, how well is that person asking you about your goals? And again, just speaking from experience with, like, you and I sitting down to work, like, yes, he helps me with a lot of things, folks, if you didn't figure that out already. I pay him a lot of money. Good money.
I hope so, yeah.
It's worth it. It's worth it. But no, all kidding aside, like, I came and said, like, I just want to get out of pain and move better. And then, like, you just chipped away at it. And we found, like, a much better goal, which is, like, actually way more relatable for me to be able to consistently buy in, right? Because that's important. Like, you have to be bought into the coach. Coming back to that customer service aspect, don't just be, like, manipulated into the sale. Like, you need to make sure it's like, no, this person gets me and this person really understands me, because they understood my goal better than I understood my goal, and they helped me understand it more. So that's also another really good thing to, like, keep in mind on that, like, initial chat with whoever you're talking with.
Oh man, I love that you brought that up, and it's something that I go through all the time, right? For me as a physical therapist, right, most of the time goals are pain related.
Yes.
My back hurts, right? Like, it wouldn't do either of us much justice if I stopped the line of questioning at, like, oh, so you want your back to stop hurting? Yes. Okay, cool. Like, la-da-da, right? It's always so much more so much more in depth than that, right? It's, my back hurts, and because of that, I can't work out to the intensity that I want. Oh, okay, why do you work out?
Yep.
Well, because I want to be able to do X, Y, and Z, right? I want to be able to carry my groceries in one shot because I don't want to have to do the stair, whatever, right? Oh,
Yeah.
why don't you want to have to do this? Well, because my mom, she fell on the, whatever. And having those, deeper conversations and getting for it to steal your word, granular on what it is that somebody is trying to achieve, I always feel like makes the roadmap to success so much more clear. And if you can see where you're going, it's a hell of a lot easier to get there.
Tremendously. And even if that, you might have a goal, and people talk about SMART goals and having a timeline, and even if that in-depth conversation leads to a different goal or further along the line, it might change where that time aspect is, but at least you still know what the finish line is. Right, it's less fuzzy at the end. Even if it's a longer distance, it's more of a flat road than a windy road, kind of.
Yeah, 100%. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, man. But I want to say thank you so much for coming on. For anybody who wants to learn a little bit more about Joe Sullivan, the Alpha Fit Club, or your personal training services, or the Kinstretch class.
Yes.
Where can people find you? Email, internet, Instagram.
Oh, yeah. So email, Instagram will be the same thing. It'll be Sully's Training Systems at Gmail, or if you just type in Sully's Training Systems, there's underscores in there, but you'll be able to find it on Instagram. I'm not on the other platforms because that's too much work, I'll be honest. If you email me or you find me on Instagram, you're good.
Awesome. Joe, thank you so much for coming on. I'd love to have you again soon.
Yeah.
See you later, everybody. Thanks.